Good to be in Indy. First time in this role for me, but it's really the first time that we get a chance to spend with the prospects in the interview process, the medical stuff, and the on-field stuff. So, really excited for this group of this 2016 class and getting to know those guys and seeing how they fit our football team.
Jon, you said you throw smoke screens and you weren't interested in helping people figure out your plan. How difficult might it be to do that? Free agency is going to tip a little bit of your intentions, but would you like it to be a complete surprise when the commissioner goes to the podium on April 28th?
I don't know that there's really any secrets in the league. We're going to evaluate every prospect that we think can help our football team, and explore every avenue that's available to our football team. Be it whether we stick and pick, like I've said before, or whether we get an offer that we really can't turn down. Whatever decision that we finalize there in April, we just want to come out of it a better football team. That's the most important thing.
Jon, it's always kind of understood the importance of the left tackle in the league, but I wonder, as you get more and more pass rushers, the importance of the right tackle preseason as well in general?
I think really those five guys, they have to play in unison. Certainly left tackle, that's a premium position in the NFL. The most important thing, the quarterback, in my opinion, is the most important. I think that's probably league-wide the same opinion. The quarterback is the most important position on the team. And it's imperative that you keep him upright and keep him able to throw the football. So, that's going to be, and there's different ways. It's, that's keeping him on his feet, or whether it's defense, turning the ball over, getting off the field on third down so that you can get the quarterback the ball again. So, again, that's keeping him upright so that he can throw, and then putting the ball in his hands as much as possible. Those are key parts of the game for us.
What are your early impressions of Laremy Tunsil?
He's played a lot of football in the SEC. He's a good athlete. He's done a nice job. He's blocked a lot of good football players. So again, haven't met him yet. Haven't met really many of these guys yet. So I'm looking forward to meeting him and getting to know him a little bit.
Jon, last year there were two franchise quarterback prospects in the top 1 and 2. Obviously, the Bucs had a need. There isn't necessarily that number one guy this year. Is it a good year, a bad year to have the number 1 overall pick? Just your thoughts on the position, given the field and your needs.
Well, I think having the number 1 overall pick gives us options. I think if you were to poll 32 teams, they would have various opinions about, who the top quarterback is. Just like last year, I'm sure some guys had Jameis over Marcus. Some teams had Marcus over Jameis. It's, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So we certainly don't want to be in this position next year. We would like to move on from having the number 1 overall pick, but we want to capitalize on it and try to make an impact to our roster. Again, like I said earlier, whether we pick an impact player or whether we acquire more picks via trade.
Even though you're not searching for a quarterback like you were in Tampa with the number 1 overall pick last year, how much did having the number 1 pick last year help prepare you for this process with the Titans?
Yeah, definitely. We were very exhaustive in our research of both Jameis and Marcus. We spent a lot of time with both of those guys in meetings, board work, medically. We flew out and worked both out individually in a private setting. And in the end, we just wanted to make sure that the fit of the player really kind of fit what we were trying to be as a football team, and that will certainly help us this year.
Jon, since you've taken over the position, has Bill Belichick reached out with any words of encouragement or advice or anything of that nature?
Yeah, I've talked to Bill a couple times. He wrote a nice article the other day. I appreciate that. I owe a ton to that man. I respect the heck out of him, and his record speaks for itself. But whether through discussions or just watching how he went about building the football team there in New England, I learned a lot of football from my time there in New England. It was really special.
Well, Jon, is that the biggest takeaway that you're trying to implement now in Tennessee from your time in New England?
Finding players that have a team-first attitude. There's nothing more important than the football team. No one part is greater than the whole. In the end, it's about how many wins we have stacked up in that column at the end of the season.
Jon, is there something you learned from Jason Light that you can share that when in your time in Tampa that this is something I'm going to use the rest of my career?
Yeah, Jason kind of got me into scouting. I guess 14, 15 years ago, whenever I was coaching, and he kind of peeled back the GM curtain, if you will, for me in Tampa there, and I was exposed to the daily operations of what it took to run the team there in Tampa. He talked about delegating authority and empowering people to do their jobs, holding them accountable to do their jobs, and that's kind of the approach that I'm going to take in Tennessee as well, is hire good people, put them in positions where they can do what they're supposed to do, demand that they do what they're supposed to do, and then rely on those guys.
You've got even Bob Quinn just add a couple more names to the list of Patriots guys that become GMs. I mean, why does that program prepare scouts to take that next step?
Well, I mean, it's a very unique. New England's a unique place, and it forces you to learn football. It forces you to learn more than just this player can do this. He can do this, and this is how he's going to fit into our football team here. So it teaches you, big picture things when it comes to roster building. And I think that's kind of what has, it prepared Jason, it prepared, Dimitrov and Scott and Bob and now myself to really attack our own individual clubs with our similar philosophy, yet our own personality on the football team.
As you saw those other guys getting GM jobs, did you and Bob ever talk about that possibility?
Oh, sure. You're sitting there, late at night and you're watching tape and you're trying to come up for air a little bit. And, you're like, one of these days, we keep working hard, maybe we can be in that seat. I mean, you talk about it, but in the end, we just worked at our job and try to be the best of what we were doing, our role there.
How would you describe Taylor Lewan's versatility to play left side or right side?
Taylor's a good football player. He's played a lot of football, blocked a lot of pass rushers. He's a tough, smart player. He's a good athlete. And I think offensive lineman, that's important. The versatility to play more than one position. I think in the end, we're going to try to put the best 5 up there that give us a chance to win football games. Right now, Taylor Lewan's our left tackle. We're proud that he is our left tackle.
Would the optimal plan next year be for David Cobb to receive a bigger majority of the touches out of the backfield?
Sure. I mean, we got to get good production out of the backs. When that's, you talk about, helping out Marcus. Part of helping out the quarterback is being able to run the football, to get us in second, medium, third, and short situations where that, we can. There's still the threat of running the football, so then we can run play action or whatever Coach Malarkey schemes up there. But Cobb, Andrews, Bishop Sankey, I mean, all those guys, we want production out of our backs for sure. We want to be able to run the ball.
What's the big
from having the top 10 at work in the same area, kind of like you were with Jason, what's the biggest?
It's familiarity, similar thinking. There's a lot of things that I would just do because I knew that's what Jason would want. So taking some initiative and kind of getting the plan, rolling, so that when Jason, came in from a marketing meeting or something or other that he was responsible for, we could get back to football and it was lined up and ready to go.
John, coming out of
Very dangerous with that though, because everybody kind of has the exact same maybe experience going on.
We're our own individual thinkers. Like that's part of scouting. So scouting is a subjective business. All of our scouts are paid to give their opinion. That's what their job is. So, not that we want arguments, but we want them to write and talk about how they see the player and how they see him helping our football team. I don't want them to agree with me all the time.
John, most of the time, when you're looking at a premium pick like number 1 overall, most people think that you need to get a premium position like quarterback or left tackle or a pass rusher. How open are you though to thinking outside the box when it comes to a dynamic player like, say, Jalen Ramsey?
I would say, with the first overall pick, we're looking to add an impact player. There's a handful of players that we think that fit into that, and a handful could be a couple. It could be 10, according to how big your hands are. But we want to come away with somebody that's going to impact our football team.
John, coming on.
In maybe the last 8 years, the elite tackles at the top of the draft, in the top 10, haven't had the best of results, and that was not the trend for the previous 10 to 20 years. Any reasons for that you can see? Is the speed rush that much more difficult in the league, or any concerns when you're considering potentially a tackle at number 1?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I haven't really gone back and done the analytical research on all that, but again, like whatever position that is, whether it's
Maryland kicker
whether
Brad
it's
Brad
offensive
Craddock,
tackle
table
or
one.
like last
Maryland kicker Brad
year in
Craddock, table
quarterback,
one.
when you evaluate the player and how he fits our football team, you're going to describe a role for him, and you want him to come in and play that role. Why certain tackles didn't necessarily pan out, to me it could be a scheme-related thing, it could be a coaching-related thing. I think every situation, positively and negatively, ever how the player plays, is really kind of its own unique situation. You've got to evaluate it kind of within your own organization.
So you still consider tackle the elite position worthy of the number one slot?
Certainly, yeah. I think it's certainly one of the premium positions.
John, coming out of a small school, where is Trey McBride in his development as an NFL wide receiver?
I think Trey had some good snaps there at the end of the season. You know, he was a guy that, I mean, I remember last year when he came out in the draft, he had good size, he had good speed. He helped us out in the kicking game. You know, I think it's going to be on Trey to come in and be a more consistent football player, and that's what we're asking out of all of our players. You know, regardless of position, is come in and be more consistent. When you're supposed to run the route to 12 yards, you run it to 12 yards. If you're supposed to block, you got to block. So whatever we ask of those guys, we just want more consistency throughout the position.